Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Welsh Republic podcast, episode 132 today. And I'm here with my guest, Anna, that Star Wars girl. How are you doing today, Anna?
Hi, I'm awake. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm a little bit sleepy at the moment, just a bit tired, just getting on with things at the moment.
Time
What
is
have
it?
you been up to today so far?
I just woke up, so nothing. I woke up, I got ready and came on this show. So that's what
Fair
I'm
enough.
saying. What about you?
I just woke up last night, just been doing some things, just did some cleaning around my house, and yeah, and I saw that you were playing Star Wars, Fallen Order, and that boss at the end really drove you mad.
Yes, just a little bit. But you know what? Beating him was the most satisfying thing. That's what Elden Ring taught me, that it's because it is such a high difficulty level that when you finally do defeat it, the victory is so much sweeter as compared if it was just like an easy victory. So I'll always the most challenging, the better.
Yeah. I also remember that you went on a rant with Skittles, the Skittles thing in California you were mentioning.
Yeah, so I don't like the taste of water, so I always drink. Ironically, I don't have any on my desk right now, but I always drink Mio, and so that has I don't know, red dye number 3. And then when COVID happened, my favorite drink is Code Red Mountain Dew, and that's been gone out of California for years and just started coming back. So they're getting rid of all the stuff that I love, and it's driving me crazy. So yeah, I went on a rant about Skittles because I don't know if you've ever been to California, but it's a really big state, and they were trying to build a high-speed rail like they have in Japan, like the bullet trains.
Yeah, like in China too, in China and other Asian countries.
'Cause, I mean, it would be so convenient just to connect San Francisco and LA, and it would be like a 2-hour train. That would completely change the state, and they bought up all the land. They spent billions of dollars buying up all the land. They started building it in the middle because that was the first land that they acquired, and it's just like this unfinished thing. And it's like, why don't you focus on that, like things that we actually need, than trying to ban Skittles? What about the glaring homeless problem? What about all of these other issues that we have? But no, Skittles. The stupid straws and the stupid Skittles.
Oh, tell me about it. It's just ridiculous. Say like the paper straws, wasting the taxpayer money on just stupid things like that. What is it like on your area, Anna, in California? Is it bad? Is it nice, or compared to like the other parts?
As far as what crime,
Yeah,
homelessness,
like crime, the environment,
I'm
like
in a really safe area. I live in Orange County, so think Huntington Beach, so Surf City. And so it's nice. There has been more homeless than usual, but that's because one of the cities around me opened up a sanctuary, which literally is just right downtown where it's all beautiful. There's this one little place where, a building should be, and it's just a bunch of tents and crackheads. And so I, I feel like it's gotten worse just in the past 6 months. But before that, everything was nice. You have your regular beach bums, but I mean that's a beach bum thing. That's not like a crackhead.
hmm. What would you say like is your favorite beach to go to in California? Like your favorite, place to go to, and like what would you say is the best hiking place for like tourists to go to in California?
Okay, so that's if you want to not be bothered, you go to Pismo. If you want to see something unique that you'll never see anywhere else in the world, go up north to Glass Beach. It's up by Eureka, and so that's northern. And so what happened with Glass Beach is there was a glass factory, and they would throw out all their broken glass into the ocean, and over time, this entire beach just is covered in sea glass, and it's really, really cool. So I would go there. It's just don't expect to go in the water because it's freezing. Uh, Down here, Laguna is really pretty, but the waves are so intense and the rip tide, so it's not exactly the safest, but it's really pretty. It's just really packed. My go-to is Huntington Beach because it's right there. It's like I can just go there, and it's nice, and there's a dog park. That's what I like, taking my dogs to the park. It's just like a mile-long beach where the dogs can just run and go crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, I saw that you have a very cute. You're Australian Shepherd, right? Very cute
It's
dog.
talking about Tulip. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
have
Tula, you know.
he's an Aussie.
Aussie, is he in Aussie, I see. You also have a Pekingese dog, which is very cute. He's very, very lovely too. I've seen them like in the photos.
Yeah, those are my princesses, my little girls, my little babies.
How are they with other dogs? Are they good or
Tulip doesn't care. She hates huskies. Like if she sees a husky, she's like freaks out and she wants to fight them. And I'm like, stop. She thinks she's a mastiff. And then Dixie, she's a scaredy cat, which is funny because she's the big dog. So she just gets scared and barks and like tries to hide behind me. But I don't know. Some dogs she likes, others no. Tulip is she likes little white boy poodles.
oh my god.
Little fucking boy dog poodle, and if he's white, she goes crazy. That's like her phobia. Her ears perk up and her like smile gets all intense and she'll like hop around them. It's so cute, but it's like the ugliest dog, really. But that's her type. I don't know.
Oh, that is pretty funny, honestly, man. Like it's like small dog syndrome, isn't it? Like the small dogs just have to try and pick fights with bigger dogs a lot of the time and like
Oh yeah, with the huskies, definitely.
you know. So, Anna, tell me about yourself. So, you've been a YouTuber now for how many years exactly?
I don't know. Right after Last Jedi, when did Last Jedi come out?
So, you've been a YouTuber since then. Like, what made you like become a YouTuber and what would you say, like got you into Star Wars? Like, what was the first moment that really where you watched Star Wars and you thought this was awesome?
Those two very different questions. So the YouTube thing happened on accident. I was trying to upload a video to Facebook and it was too long. So I had to upload it to YouTube and then share the link. And then I did that. And then other people that weren't the people I was trying to send the video to watched it and it kind of blew up. And I've been doing YouTube ever since. So that was a complete accident, not something I ever expected to do. And I only continued to do it because so many people asked me to. So I was like, all right. And then the Star Wars thing. So I watched Star Wars for the first time when I was 2 3/4 years old because I was at my aunt's house. My parents were going to have a baby and they couldn't take me with them because I was a rambunctious little child. So they couldn't have me running around the hospital while my mom was trying to push out another human. So I was at my aunt's house and I was going through this phase where I would only watch princess movies. And because my mom had cut my hair off really short, so I had this stupid haircut like Spock. And I guess I was trying to compensate for that. So I would only watch princess movies, and my aunt, all of her kids were already, like, grown, so she didn't have very many little kid movies, and so I think we watched I think it was The Little Mermaid. Oh, I just, like, over and over again, like, it ends, you rewind it, you put it back in, you watch it again. She's like, "Anne, I can't watch this movie anymore." And I was like, "I don't care, this is what we're watching." And so she's like, "Well, can we watch this movie?" I was like, "No." She's like, "What about this movie?" "No." She's like, "What about Star Wars?" I was like, "No, I don't wanna watch Star Wars." She's like, "There's a princess," and I was like, "Turn it on right now." And she shut me in a room. She turned the movie on, and then she left. Now, at this time, I didn't realize this until recently, but I'm like, I couldn't read. So even the beginning, I had no idea what was going on. I was just so excited that there I was gonna see a new princess in a movie. And I just remember sitting on the floor and like watching the whole thing and like not moving and like going like, "Oh my god, that was the greatest thing ever." And then she's like, "Do you want to watch the other ones?" I was like, "There's more." And then she spoiled it for me. She's like, "Oh yeah, Han and Leia are going to end up together because Luke and Leia are twins, and then Darth Vader is their father." And I was like, "Nuh-uh." And then I watched it and I was like, "Oh my god, that was the greatest thing ever." So she got the best babysitter. She just locked me in a room with she didn't lock it, but, she just shut me in a room with Star Wars and, like, that was it. And then when my dad came to pick me up, I was like, "Daddy, I want a lightsaber." And he's like, "What?" So, that was how I got to watch Star Wars.
So when you talk about like Star Wars, I remember you say like The Empire Strikes Back more than like the Return of the Jedi. What makes you like Empire Strikes Back more than the Return of the Jedi? Like, what makes it better story wise, and what makes it better in other ways?
I think there's very complicated answer that I can go on for hours about. I think I've noticed this because usually the middle ones tend to be my favorite, and I think that's because even with like something like Lord of the Rings, we've already watched the first movie, so all these characters are already established, and when the movie ends, there's okay, well, I know that there's another one. So it's like, okay, this isn't the end forever. Like I have something to look forward to. And same thing with The Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie.
Mhm.
And it's like we already know who these people are. We're in the middle of an adventure, and then the way that it ends, it's like it's left you wanting more. And so that's the very simple answer to it. If they're I can go on for hours about why I like it. And there's still moments in each movie that I like a lot. So my favorite scene in the original trilogy is from Return of the Jedi, and that's the scene where Luke goes and he turns himself in on Endor, and him and Vader have that conversation in the hallway. And
Yeah.
there's like one line that Vader says it's probably the best line in all of Star Wars. And so Luke is, trying to convince him, like, no, father, you're good. There's still good in you. And Vader says, "It's too late for me, son." And in that moment, it's like, holy shit. Like that's the first time he speaks as Anakin, because that's Anakin acknowledging he
Yeah, I remember that scene. Yeah, that was like when I was watching it when I was younger, I was like, wow, that is just like, man, when you mention like The Emperor Strikes Back and like Return of the Jedi, I think it's just so good. It's just so good.
it is.
Like, yeah,
It's
and like
just
keep
that
going.
moment where he's acknowledging that he knows everything he's done is wrong and that he fucked up, but it's literally too late. There's nothing he can do. He can't go back in time. And so
Mm,
it's like the regret. So it's a great line, but yeah.
mhm.
Is that one your favorite movie?
In Star Wars, oh, that's a good question. I would have to say probably Return of the Jedi. I did like The Emperor Strikes Back too, but I'll tell you this: I know a lot of people don't like the prequels, but I did like the Revenge of the Sith only because there was some very inspirational scenes in that. Like there were very scenes, today, like especially the Order 66, and like all that stuff. It's very, what would you say like was your favorite scene from the prequels?
So I am one of the few people that likes Attack of the Clones the best. I don't mind the cringy like lines and like the romance scenes between Anakin and Padme, because it's like, have you never been on a bad date? Like right now, it's like if a guy says like, "Oh, I don't like sand," like I don't know. I feel like I've heard a lot worse on dates, so that never bothered me. But I was a little kid when it came out anyway. But so there's a scene in Attack of the Clones that I'm like, this could have changed all of Star Wars if Obi-Wan would have just played along for 5 minutes. And so it's the scene where Obi-Wan is prisoner on Geonosis, and Count Dooku comes in to talk to him, and it's like, okay, so this is one of the bad guys, and for whatever, well, we know the reason that Qui-Gon was Count Dooku's Padawan and Obi-Wan was Qui-Gon's Padawan. So there's some kind of bond. Like Count Dooku feels something for Obi-Wan because of Qui-Gon. And so
Mhm.
he's willing to confide in him, and he tells him like, "Hey, like the whole thing is being run by the bad guys." And if Obi-Wan would have played along for 5 minutes, Count Dooku would have told him everything. He would have found out who, the Emperor was, who Palpatine really was, and what his plan was, and the fact that they were coming up with plans to build a freaking Death Star. And all we wanted to do was 5 minutes of undercover work. And then be like, all right, deuces, I'm out. And then skip town with all that information. And he could have came back and saved everyone.
Oh, I know. It's like, what would you Anna, if you could like make your own lightsaber, like okay, so if you could make like say it's like if you could become a Jedi, what Jedi name would you call yourself? What color would be your lightsaber, and what force power would you like to have? And who would be your Jedi master? Who would you choose to train you?
I would, I think, be fine just learning from holocrons. I I feel like that's the best way. So I said this, I think, on my streams, but I don't think I would be a very heavy melee type of Jedi. I'm not now. Like, I'll shoot guns and stuff, but I've never had any interest in learning how to fight, or I don't know. I don't even know that. I only learned recently that when you punch someone, you don't put your thumb here. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I know. I was like, well, it's so much more comfortable doing this. So I'm not a fighter in any way. So as far as lightsabers, I mean, obviously, I think I would have to learn, but I think I would hate every second of it. I took dance for over 12 years and I hated every second of that. So I'm having to learn techniques like that. I think I would just be miserable. I'm so uncoordinated. I mean, I guess if I was a Jedi, maybe that would be better. But as far as masters, I would. It depends on what era of Star Wars I'm in, but I would probably end up just learning from holocrons and going off by myself and not interacting with anyone else because I am kind of a loner. So, and I mean, holocrons can show you how to do, like, it'll be like, do this, and like, because you have the hologram coming out of it. So I would just collect as many holocrons as possible and try to learn from every different person and then take bits from each teacher's style and incorporate that into my own. And then the one I would want, the power I'd want to have is like to be able to communicate with animals. But I think just having like
Is
the
there any Jedi that can do that in like the Star Wars
not
folklore?
like you can't like talk to them, but there's like Ezra actually has it. Ezra can like not communicate, but like there's that understanding with animals. And I feel like even Anakin does it in Attack of the Clones, where he like calms down the whatchamacallit. And then I don't know, like something like that. But I guess like I mean jumping would be nice. And then just the in general, the telekinetic type of stuff that would be really convenient. Uh, Push would be good. I'm just thinking of, from the games. But what I would say, like, whenever anyone asks me about superpowers, like, if you were a superhero, what superpower would you want? I always go back to this. It's like, if you're stuck on an island, there's no humans, there's nothing. Like, if you have a power that's completely reliant on somebody else being there, like, I don't like that because I do enjoy my alone time. So I need something that isn't reliant on other people. So, like, lightning. Yeah, I guess I could do stuff with that, but I mean, that's usually used for battle, right? So if I'm not fighting anyone, that's kind of pointless for me to have in my day-to-day life. So I would want something that is just useful for me in day-to-day life that doesn't require anyone else being around me to be able to use it.
Mhm. That would be pretty cool. For me, if I had a force power, I do like the force lightning. I would have to say, if I could choose a lightsaber myself, I like the dark one. The dark lightsaber?
The
That rare one? Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Some people here in the comments section saying some stuff. Z, my friend Z, hi Z, she says here the amount of sorry, the thing's going a bit weird. A minute. She says here the amount of times that
doesn't
she
like me
changes her
here.
it makes you dizzy.
I'm
It
sorry.
makes her dizzy.
I'm trying to get it so there's no like little fly hairs. I'm sorry. I'm very like if my hair is curly, it's different. I just leave it alone. But whenever my hair is like somewhat straight, it's like if there's a fly hair, it drives me crazy.
Oh, the hair color you have now really suits you. You look very pretty with it, Anna.
I think it's my natural, as close to my natural as possible.
you know Also, man, I think I can't pronounce the name. Someone said here Anna would be a Jedi. What's it? Jedi
Oh, librarian.
librarian. Also, someone also said
That would
Anna
require
would
organized.
Anna Anna would destroy her enemies using the power of Skittles.
Heck yeah, I would.
Oh, that would be pretty funny. So, Anna, like, if you could make a Star Wars movie, like, if you had a choice right now, like, if you were a director to make a Star Wars movie, what would that movie be based on, like, in the Star Wars folklore? And if you like, what would your cast be for that film? What would it be about? And like, what would you do differently to any other Star Wars film?
So if I like, I have unlimited budget, unlimited resources, like I 100% power. Well, part
Yeah.
of me wants to just be a troll and get Quentin Tarantino to make a movie Samuel Jackson and just let's get all of that in in Star Wars. And no, the serious answer, which I absolutely adore Quentin Tarantino. I love his movies so much. And but what I would do is I played KOTOR and KOTOR 2 a few years ago, and I loved them. That became my favorite Star Wars era, which I didn't think was possible. And so I said that I would do this as a series, but if it's movies, I would very meticulously plan out these movies. And so I would do Keanu Reeves as Revan, and it would
Oh, that would be dope. That would be
the
cool.
older Revan, because Keanu as he is now, and then you use that freaking special effects to de-age him for all of the scenes, or keep him in the mask most of the movie. I don't care, but have him like old Keanu reflecting back, and he's like, this is my. I don't mind flashbacks. I don't know why people get so up in arms about flashbacks. I'm like, if it's him now reflecting back on how he got to where he is now. And I was like, oh my God, what has Revan been doing now ever since, he went off into the unexplored regions of space. And so it's just going back and doing like the KOTOR and like not exactly like where KOTOR left off, but us following Revan's journey. And then in, I don't know, the second movie, because I like what George did. It's like something new is introduced in every movie. Like either there's a new character, like Lando comes in Empire Strikes Back, and having something introduced. And during that time, like maybe the second movie, introduce the exile character, which I prefer to be the male character, but I get it in Canada, it's female. I know, maybe I'll be the asshole and make it a male. But introduce some of like those, like, because the whole thing with the exile in KOTOR 2 was that was one of the Jedi that followed Revan and then was exiled and cut off from the Force later. And so not like the biggest role, kind of like the same level that Faramir had in Lord of the Rings, like that level of like character. And so have the exile in it too. And that way, once this trilogy is done, you could do the spinoff with the exile. And then I would also hello, we have somebody like The Rock that's around, who I don't know if everybody likes The Rock or not, but as far as like Darth Bane, like his everything about him is the perfect like physicality.
Wow, he would be interesting to play Darth Bane. I never thought about that fan cast.
One like out there, like I don't think he's like the best actor in the world. I would prefer somebody with like Daniel Day-Lewis's skills or like Denzel's skills to play him. But as far as the physicality, he is Darth Bane. Like he's got the height, he's bald, like everything about he's that physically menacing. And he could be good. And people love him. I don't know if he's exactly the right actor, but I would do a Darth Bane trilogy. And that way you can have so many things going at once. Like they're so stupid, all because they don't want to pay the people that created these characters. It just makes me so frustrated.
Oh, Anna, when I watched The Last Jedi, like you mentioned, it was awful. It was just like that for me was the death of Star Wars. That honestly, really, I mean, The Force Awakens was pretty bad too. But that really, and like to kill Han Solo off, like when the scene where Han Solo dies, like you mentioned how that was the most emotional, saddest death you've ever seen in film history.
I don't think I've ever said that.
No, you said like something that like it was very sad, Han Solo dying for you. Like it was like it was similar to.
Well, I mean, it wasn't sad. It was completely emotionless. Like that was
Oh,
one of
I see. I see. Fair enough. Yeah.
like it didn't make me feel anything except for extreme annoyance. And like it was just such a waste. It was like, why would you do that? Like why? I get it that Harrison Ford didn't want to play him anymore, but who cares? Suck it up. You're getting paid millions of dollars. This is literally your job. But no, I mean, I there was nothing. It was just like that was a waste. Disney is throwing away this and they have no idea what they're doing. It was like
Oh,
complete utter irritation.
where do you see, so with the state of Star Wars now, where do you see it going? Do you think there's going to be any chance of it having a good revival, or do you think the franchise is just dead, just
It,
totally in the water?
it's dead. I mean, even Thrawn. couldn't. They made Thrawn Elon with a dad bod. Well, Elon does have a dad bod, but Elon had like 10 plus children, so Elon can have a dad bod, right? This is just old man idiotic Thrawn. And I said this in my last review I posted for Ahsoka. It's the characters can only be as smart as the people writing them, which is why everyone is an idiot.
I know, it's ridiculous. It totally is utterly ridiculous. Hmm. So, Anna, when you look at Star Wars, what would you say in your life has been the one scene from the Star Wars movies that has really kept you going whenever you felt like wanting to give up on life and keep going forward? What has been the one scene that has really, kept you going whenever you feel like you need something to keep you going in life with stress or whenever you felt like giving up?
I've never felt like giving up on life. I think it's because I'm so stubborn that if anything, I know that me being successful irritates people that get irritated by me. So I'm just like, F you, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I think when I was little, what really I watched it because there was a princess in it, but what hooked me was that Luke Skywalker and I were so similar because I was from the middle of nowhere. Like the town that I'm from doesn't have any stoplights and will never have any stoplights. It's that small. And I grew up on a ranch, like a farm, like Luke Skywalker in the middle of nowhere. And I always loved sitting outside and watching the sunset. And so when Luke's sitting outside and watching the binary sunset, and this guy from the middle of nowhere with no connections to anything, well, that we know of at the time, is able to go out and become a Jedi and, save the princess and blow up the Death Star. And I'm like, if Luke Skywalker can do that, then so can I. So
It's like, like this big adventure or something like that. I can definitely understand that. And like, what else?
well, that's what motivates me. As everything else is a story. I guess it's the persistence. Like if someone hurt me in some way, I'm like, well, at least my dad didn't cut off my hand, Like it's not that level of bad yet. Like, and even with the prequels, it's like, well, the guy I'm dating didn't go and murder an entire village of children. So I mean, that's good, right? Like it can always get worse. So I think even though before I watched Star Wars, I had very much a rebellious personality and a very I don't know if this would be considered rebellious, but it's like I'm a very motivated person and I'm a very like if somebody tells me not to do something, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Like don't push the button. I'm gonna freaking push the button.
Like
So
that.
yeah, I don't know. I've always been motivated to get things done and to do things. And I don't think that necessarily has anything to do with anything else. That's just part of who I am.
Mhm. Well, it's very good to have that because it shows, you're very committed. You never give up. You don't care what people think. I mean, I really need to stop caring what people think. Like, I have that issue where I worry so much of what people think.
But
But
this is my advice if that's something you struggle with.
yeah, sure, go ahead. Yeah.
I struggled with that for a while, like especially because like not growing up with the internet and then like being thrown right into it with it's not that I didn't have the internet, but it's like when YouTube did start taking off and like all of these people that all of a sudden cared so much about every little detail about my life. My thing is if if internet was off, if they don't matter to you in real life, then it doesn't matter. Like if they're not your mom, your dad, your best
Yeah.
friend, your relative, like somebody that whose opinion you genuinely care about. And it when there's somebody like spurging out that's going crazy, it's like, do you care about what the crackhead on the street is yelling at you? No, because it's a crackhead on the street. You
It's
don't
like it's like everybody nowadays just worries too much, especially with social media, because it's so hard to get away from it nowadays, especially when everything is so digital. And that's why I kind of just miss the old days a bit, because in the old days, you could get away from it more and it was just better in a way. But I agree. I think people, take things online too serious. you know, it's just sad. It's just really sad, you know, how people get obsessed about it. And I honestly, Anna, when I watch your videos, when you like take down a lot of the trolls, you know, especially during the Eliza Blue situation, when you're taking down trolls who are giving you a hard time, like you're really strong. I mean, it's really like for you to be able to get that like strength to deal with those haters. You're really good at that. Really good at calling them out and confronting them. Like it's the boss girl attitude.
So I don't even look at it like they're people, because they're not. They don't view you as a person. The first time I ever got like canceled, I had never had an anxiety attack before in my life, and it was the first time I had one, because they were mad at me. What was it? Oh, it's because I like tweeted at someone and then they were trying to cancel me because I went to not San Diego, LA Comic-Con, and I was cosplaying, and I took a picture with a girl, and I took a selfie, and I asked her if I could take the selfie, and she agreed to it. And then they were trying to cancel me for something, and they stalked that girl. They said I was bullying her. She had a meltdown and then blocked me and said I was bullying her. I'm like, I didn't even know this girl had a Twitter. And so like I was like, why are these people being so mean? Like, what, no matter what answer I gave them, because I was actually trying to explain, because I thought that they were genuine people looking for an explanation. And then I learned the hard way that they aren't. They're just looking to cancel you. They don't want an explanation. They don't want an apology. It's like the Terminator. Like when Reese is talking about the Terminator, it's like it doesn't sleep. It won't get bribed, and it will never ever stop. That is what the people on Twitter are like. And once I realized that, it's like a switch flipped. And I'm like, all right, you guys aren't going to treat me like a person. You guys don't actually want an explanation. So fuck you and what you're trying to do to me. I'm not going to play nice anymore. And so I just treat them the exact way that they treat me. And I don't even go out of my way to find these people. They find me, and then they blow up my timeline. And I'm like, all right. And now that my Twitter has gotten so huge, now they're like, you're bullying me. It's like, bitch, don't like get in the pin with the bull if you can't take it. Right? Like,
Oh my God. It is ridiculous, some of the things that people say. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, Anna, because of me having autism, you know, one thing I've noticed is I've had a few people sometimes like mock me for being autistic, and I'm like thinking to myself, well, it's funny how you guys mock a person with autism, but yet you're using a platform that's run by an autistic person. Elon Musk is autistic, by the way, and I'm thinking it's just
Asperger's, not autism, I think.
Well, Asperger's, well, they changed the diagnosis. It's actually called high functioning autism now. It's high functioning autism. They changed it like up.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've met so many people with either autism or Asperger's, or like different ranges of the spectrum. Like you can, I mean, me personally, and I don't see it as anything wrong. So when I was little, because people say terrible things about me all the time. I'm like, my best friend in the entire world was, when I was a little kid, was a 19-year-old girl, because when she was born, I think she already was like on the spectrum already, but when she was born, the umbilical cord got wrapped around her neck, so she didn't get oxygen. So she was at the level of a 2-year-old. She's never going to get past the level of a 2-year-old. And so my best friend when I was little, her name was Hope. And so I grew up around people, you know, with different types of disabilities. And so that's never been out of, like, one of my cousins has Down syndrome. And so I don't try to pull that up when it's Twitter, because they don't need to know that, because then those trolls are going to go stalk my family and my friends and like people that I love. And so I never looked at people that are on the spectrum or have some kind of disability differently, because what I found is those people are the nicest, and those people aren't going to treat you bad.
Yeah.
Stab you in the back. I've never been stabbed in the back by somebody that has a disability or autism, because they're honest. And so,
yeah, that is a good thing about autistic people, you know. And you know, Anna, when you mentioned, right, so what's that person called, Hope, again? She was your
my best friend when I was a little kid.
Best friend. It's funny because when you mention Hope and you're a fan of Star Wars, when it's like the universe is telling you something, like the, you know, dawn of a new hope or something. It's kind of like
funny,
a universe.
High school, her name was Hope too. So yeah.
Like, you know, there's been some, yeah, you know, when I also look at people, for example, like, you know, one of my role models, Ashton, you know, how she, you know, deals with a lot of the hate she gets. And It's just silly. And I do agree. I think autistic people, are better. That them, like, sorry, not to better, but everyone's different in their own way and unique. But I think, that like it's not easy dealing with, especially sensory overload. But yeah, especially how she's been able to overcome it. And I think you and Chrissy have really, as to see Ashton as one of my role models, it makes me happy to see, you and Chrissy really encouraging Ashton to never give up and really showing her not to care. And I think ever since she signed up with you guys, she's so much more happy. And I'm glad to see that, and it's a good thing, Yeah, it is a good thing.
Really good person. I like Ashton a lot. And back to like the spectrum things we were talking about, like
Yeah, sure.
there's different types, obviously, and I think somebody with Asperger's is very different than somebody that's autistic, and I think each person is so different with either what it's basically how to communicate with a person like that. That's the same thing, even if they're not on the spectrum. And so learning what it is that to communicate. Is it eye contact? Is it your tone of voice? Is it the things that you say? Is it repetition? And so, like, I think it's because I've been around it so much of my life, I can pick up on it pretty quickly on if somebody's autistic. I kind of have to be in person to see it. But like with you, I wouldn't have known if you wouldn't have told me.
Yeah, a lot of people do tell me that, but you would see it eventually. You would see it. There would always be, because with me, like, I'll tell you what, Anna, I get really bad anxiety. Sometimes when I get anxiety attacks, it really can be horrific. Like, mostly I feel sick and like I feel like my heart's racing. Oh, it's just horrible. But hey, we all learn to deal with it. We learn to keep going.
Like, what is your trigger, and then how to like calm you down from that. I've been around people when they've had attacks like that, and so I mean, maybe it also depends on the level that you know the person too, on like what you can say to them to help calm them down or just to figure out a solution. But excuse me, probably shouldn't have drank soda right as I'm gonna start.
Fine, don't worry.
But
I'll
my whole
keep going.
thing is trying to figure out, okay, like what's the problem, and I love solving problems. So when I see somebody that's like struggling, and it's like if there is another level, like okay, you're on the spectrum or you're ADHD or like you're OCD, like something like that. It's like, all right, what's bothering you? And autistic people, I love this about them. They'll actually freaking tell you what's bothering them. Whereas someone that's not autistic, they're like, oh, it's nothing. It's like, I'm fine. It's like, no, you're having a panic attack. You're not fine. Tell me what the fuck is wrong with you. And autistic people will tell you. They'll be completely honest. They'll tell you, it's like, all right, now that I know the problem, now I can fix it.
Yeah, it is. It is very true. So you were asking me like what triggers me in anxiety attacks. Well, it's some stuff. Sorry, I can't name anything. Anxiety right now is getting to me,
It's
but
just like
it's
general, like, oh, people swarming me, like, because
yeah. Basically, being in crowds, I really like. For me, when something happens really quickly, like when life is going very fast and something's happened really quickly, or something comes out of the blue, or if I'm in a crowd of people and it gets overwhelming, yeah, that's what it is. It gets to me. Like with my anxiety, I would feel that like I'm dying, but I know that I'm not. So like in the beginning, when I had anxiety attacks, I used to like a lot. I would collapse a lot. Like some days when I would go out, I'd collapse a lot. But that's because of the anxiety. And one day, people told me, look, you're going to be fine. It's just, it's just your body gets through it. And then as soon as I started to learn, that anxiety is just what it is, like, because I always think, like I'm dying when I'm having an anxiety attack, you're not. And like as soon, as I get over it, it's fine. It's all good. And I think people do. Like one thing I've discovered about like trying to get, go for anxiety attacks is probably mind over matter. Like it's funny because when I've had an anxiety attack and when I've started to talk to people about different things on that time, my mind forgets about it. It goes off. And I think the mind over matter thing is a very good thing too. I also, have a toy right here that's called like an anti like no it's just a squish toy. It's like a squish toy that I have, like an antidepressants toy. Sorry, you can't hear on the mic, Anna. The mic.
A stress ball.
Yeah, stress ball. It's a stress ball. That really helps. The stress. Too. And yeah, it is. It's horrific. How do you deal with your anxiety attacks?
I've only had one, so I think I came close to a second one when my sister passed away and all of that, like just dealing with all of that. But I I couldn't let myself get any kind of way because I had to deal with everything and my parents were broken and my family was broken and I'm like, if I break, then nothing's gonna get done. So I was like, I'll have this, I'll do this later. Like I think I felt it coming on and I'm like, nope, I can't do this right now. I'll do it
Yeah, yeah,
later."
that's
And
that like see how you're mentioning there, mind over matter. It seems like because then the brain acts differently. And and I just want to say, when I heard about, your sister's death, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But I just want to let you know, I think your sister is up there looking down on you. I think she's very proud of how far you've come. She's very proud of like how successful you are, and she wants you to never give up and always keep going. Remember that, you know.
that is the way that she would put it too. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it. I know about it, but yeah, it is a bit. So let's change this up because I don't want you to get too emotional. Sorry about that. What, Anna? So as we all know, you
Therapy
do
session.
what? Sorry, say it again.
Somebody in the chat said earlier therapy session. I'm like, oh yeah, it's turning into now. Turning into a therapy session.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
what was your question?
as we all know, you're a very big cosplay, and I've seen a lot of your cosplays, and you're really talented, Anna. You're probably one of the most talented cosplayers in the whole internet.
Oh, thanks. I don't think so, but thank you.
Oh, I think you are. Don't worry what people say, But when you're so with the cosplays, what would you say is your favorite cosplay you've done? And what would you say like is the biggest mistake that people like beginners make, when they're doing like cosplays? Like what advice would you give to people who are wanting to become beginners in cosplay, or like whether they're YouTube?
Okay, so it doesn't so what I tried to do, and this is why I say I don't think I'm the best one because people give me shit for this, but I'm like, no, that's not the point. My whole thing with doing cosplay is that anyone can do it, and it doesn't. So don't get held up because you can't go out and make everything like to exactly the way it is from the movies or the comics. Like, don't go out and like, oh, I can't sculpt with like all the big cosplayers. They use like foam and they do all of this stuff. Forget about that. Like don't worry about that. It's 100% confidence. And so you can get the cheapest looking costume and dress it up and make it look like $1,000,000. So don't ever feel bad because you can't or you don't think you have the skill level to do something that's movie quality ready. A lot of people don't, and a lot of people will just buy it from like higher end places. So it's like, would you rather spend $1,000 on a costume you can never wash and it's going to smell terrible and you have this $1,000 smelly costume that even dry cleaning doesn't clean? Or would you rather get one that's a little bit cheaper, like under $100, and then dress it up as dope as humanly possible and, just go and be like, yeah, man, I don't know, I'm freaking Darth Vader, I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm Link, right? And Link is Zelda, right? So I would say confidence. Confidence is key, and so who cares if you're not the one that walks in with the most expensive cost in the room? That doesn't matter. Like, do you go into a store or when you're out somewhere, like let's say you're at like a bar or a club or like a fancy event or even a wedding. Hopefully the woman that's wearing the most expensive dress is the bride. But let's say you're at a wedding and like there's just somebody there and you're like, wow, that guy's in like a great suit. Wow, that girl like looks great in that dress. They could have both gotten that outfit from a thrift store and spent like $7, right? But you don't know that. You don't know where they got it. It's confidence. It's how you carry yourself. And so you could go out in a freaking paper bag and be, you know, everyone would be like, oh my God, that's the greatest cosplay ever. You're at Comic Con, you're in a paper bag. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. It's all about how you carry yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Anna, one time when I was watching one of your shows, like I thought to myself, like, well, I was watching one of your I was watching the Jack show once, and I was thinking, and I commented once, like, would Anna ever dress up as cosplay as Cecil one day?
No, no. Cecil got his girlfriend to cosplay him. I'm like, I was like, I know that loser, but you want to bang someone that's dressed up like you? I'm like, I know that you're weird, man, but that's a whole nother level of weird. No, I have no interest in dressing up like Cecil. That he's my friend. That's weird.
Well, I mean, it would be a funny joke for his birthday or something, but
It's like,
anyways,
do that, not me.
so anyways, Anna, when it comes to your cosplaying, what would you say like was the most difficult cosplay, that you had to do, the one that took the longest to put on, was the most difficult one to do, the one that really frustrated you?
Um, Honestly, any of them that are Star Wars are pretty difficult for me. Not, I mean, putting on, it was probably the Jade costume actually, because that it was the most bizarre I was like, I ordered an extra small. I'm like, this is like for a whale. I think I posted a selfie where I'm like holding out how like big it was. So I had to completely alter that. And then the neck wasn't long enough, or like, so like the torso, and I already have a small torso, so I had to cut the neck because it wouldn't go around my neck, and I had to like just basically whatever I had put on to attach it like ripped, so I had to like just have clothespins, and I clothespinned it to my hair. And so I was like, I couldn't
Oopsie daisy.
move as well. Like for the photo shoot, like now I've since fixed it, but it broke when I was there, and it's like I have to do this photo shoot today. And so I was like, all right, just pin it to my hair. And so like I had the wig on, so it's pinned to like my real hair that's sticking out of the wig and like the wig cap. And so I was really limited on how I could move. And so that one physically was the most difficult. As far as getting into character and doing it right, it's every single time it's a Star Wars character. I found that the more that I have knowledge on and the more love I have for these characters, the worse I am at getting into character and photographing myself. If I don't like the character, it's the easiest, best photo shoot ever. Or if I have like a really cool prop, like I just did Red Sonja, that was the easiest photo shoot I think I've ever done. The lighting was perfect. My photographer like loved the whole aesthetic. So when he's happy and he's like enjoying shooting it, then it goes smoother. But like if I'm able to just, oh, everything is working, now all I got to do is make sure my face doesn't look stupid. But so Star Wars ones, because I like the characters and I know so much about them, it's really difficult for me, and I end up looking like a plank of wood.
Oh no, you do a good job with it.
Well,
I
it takes
thought you
time to get there.
you know I really think, my favorite cosplay that you did, I really think, the Princess Leia one you did was really good. That was very good, that one. I also really liked the Tomb Raider one you did. That was good too. That was really good too.
On that
you
one, I
know
went hiking. We went out to actual caves. That one was like, because it was already such a journey to get there, and my stepdaughter was there and helping, and she had so much fun. She loved helping with that photo shoot, and so that was a fun one to do. I just always have the problem that my face looks like I'll make a stupid face because I have no control over like my expressions, and so he'll be like, "Do this type of face." And I'm like, "How?" So I have to have like a mirror handy so I can like make the face and then like try to hold that for like the thing. One thing that a lot of people don't know is I hate my photo taken. Like I absolutely hate it. I don't mind video because like you can see me and I'm moving and you can see my expression and my tone of voice. But in a photo, I'm like, I don't know. I get all
tell Tell me about it, Anna. I'm like that too. When I like get photos done, like, it really irritates me. It really, like, the photo shyness and anxiety. Oh, it's just ridiculous.
then I tell people that they're like, "What? You're a cosplayer that like you sell photos of yourself?" And I was like, "I know." It was not a planned business venture. It was a forced upon me, or Cecil and the chat yelled at me. They're like, "Do this." And I'm like, "Okay, fine."
That's really funny. Anna, when it comes to like comic conventions, what would you say like was your favorite moment, like at any comic convention that you've ever had before? Like one you already been to, like what was your most favorite one that you ever went to before?
My favorite one to go to is the one that I would display like my art at. It's called Midsummer Scream. It's a Halloween convention in Long Beach. And then I think my favorite moment at a con was when I took a picture with William Shatner, and so Cecil went right before me, and he looked miserable taking a photo with oh no, Cecil went after me. Okay, so I took the photo and he was like so happy, and then they had to redo it, and then I was like, I'm sorry, and he's like, I'm not, and I was like, oh my god, it's William Shatner. That's Captain Kirk. And then Cecil wanted to take a picture and he wanted me to be in the photo. And like at first he took a photo with just Cecil, and then we got a group photo. And like the night and day in his expression when he had to take a picture with Cecil, he was like all smiley to me, and then he saw Cecil and he was like,
Yeah, I saw that. It was funny.
oh yes,
Oh, it must have been so. Oh, that was hilarious.
too.
I really think it's funny how you guys in the Jack show really take the piss out of each other a lot of the time in such a cheeky way.
That's what friends do. See, that's how I know when like you're good enough friends with someone, and it's like you can give them shit as
Tell
hard
me
as
about it. I know.
not gonna get offended because they know you're just joking.
Yeah, it's like nowadays everybody just takes things too serious, and it is a shame that a lot of people in today's world don't have like a group of friends, that they can really get along with, and it's just, I feel like people need more of that, you know.
All right, 100%.
Also, talking about William Shatner, apart from what would you say like was your favorite moment of him in Star Trek, or your favorite like Captain Kirk moment of all time, and your favorite quote from Captain Kirk?
Oh, that's easy. Like when he's with Spock in Wrath of
Which one was that?
when he's with Spock, when Spock is dying, and he.
Oh yeah, that's sad. That is. Yeah, I. By the way, going back to the Han Solo thing, yes, sorry, I forgot. That was what it was. You compared like Han Solo's death to Spock's death on like one of the interviews you did. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a great William Shatner moment. I mean, there's so many of him in the originals, and so it's like, oh, I can't. When they're at the table in Star Trek 6, and it's like, oh yeah, Christopher Plummer is like quoting Shakespeare, or he's like doing all this like finesse, and then William Shatner just drops like Hitler 1945, and it's like they're like, oh fuck. And then when he's like, let them die, it's like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then what does God need with the starship? Like that was funny. I remember I was a little kid and I like spit out my drink laughing.
Yeah, that scene with when they met God, yeah, that was like, I remember watching that scene and I was thinking to myself, wow, that is like, because it's true, like, what would God need with the starship?
Well,
Because he's God.
it wasn't God. It was a faker. But I love that like he is just able to completely see through all of the bullshit.
Maybe he has a sign of autism. Maybe who would you like say in Star Wars would you say has like autism out of all the characters? Who really showed signs of it? Who?
C-3PO.
C-3PO? Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Well, I think it's like the not picking up on social cues is a big thing of autism. Like people, that's like Ashton will do this sometimes where she doesn't like sarcasm. And so it's like, oh no, like that person, like with the chat especially, it's hard because it's not a human in front of you. And so even when I go on to other people's shows, like sometimes I have to explain to them, Russell Hall is a bit of a troll. Don't take anything he says literally. Like, look at it as a joke. Look at some of these people, like people that have followed me for years, they can give me shit and they're like, these people are being so mean to you. I'm like, no, like those people love me. They're being funny. Like I'm not offended. And so like the not picking up on that. So C-3PO, he's a droid, so he obviously doesn't. So I would say C-3PO is that type of character.
Yeah, that's pretty true. So Anna, with the way that things are going in films and stuff, whether it's the MCU and Star Wars, how do you see it going? Do you think that eventually we will go like that the woke era will come to an end, or do you think that the future just for films and like comic books just looks bleak at the moment? How do you see it going?
I definitely think it'll come to an end. There's going to be something very there'll be a turning point, and once that turning point happens, there's no going back, and it'll be people giving shit to like, oh yeah, remember like you guys are all this. It's right now we're in the prohibition. Right. So we're just history always, especially if you don't study history, history has a tendency to repeat itself. So in America, we had the prohibition, which is where they outlawed alcohol. Well, guess what? If people want something, they're going to find a way to get it. It's just like in Mexico. Mexico, guns are illegal. You can't own a gun. Yet there's guns. There's a lot of guns in Mexico because bad people will find a way. In America, people found a way to have alcohol. There was speakeasies, there was bootleggers. So right now we're in that where comedy, any kind of nuances off limits, and so they banned all of that. So we're right now in that era where it's like, all right, well, if we actually want entertainment, we go to YouTube. We're looking on other platforms, and so something traumatic's going to happen, which unfortunately for us Americans, well, I guess the entire world was the Great Depression. Hopefully it's not that. Hopefully it's something better. Significantly better than that. But yeah, something's going to happen that's going to change dramatically, and we'll get out of it, and then we'll look back on this in the future and be like, oh God, remember that? Or it'll just become like 1984 and we'll all be stuck in Big Brother. So I'd rather have the other thing. I'd rather be optimistic. So yeah.
So Anna, it's passing the hour mark because you said you can only do this for an hour. Speaking of that, what is so today, before we finish up, what was the last thing you would like to say to anybody, right? Everybody, the last thing you want to say to everybody, and what would you say is your inspirational Star Wars quote for everybody today to follow and to never give up?
This is where the fun begins. That's my favorite line because it is. It's like, this is where the fun begins. Yeah, I mean, and I say that to everything. If there's a new challenge, if there's a new obstacle in my life, I'm like, all right, this is where the fun begins. So that's where I think I'd like to leave it at, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So Anna, where can people follow you?
Just look up that Star Wars girl. You'll find me everywhere. I think I have a link tree on my Twitter. So Instagram, I have, I think, 3 Instagram accounts. I have my art Instagram, my Star Wars girl Instagram, and then I just created a cosplay Instagram because I'm shadow banned on the main Star Wars girl. I'm on Rumble, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Odyssey, I'm on Twitch, just all the places. If you type in that Star Wars girl, you'll eventually find me somewhere. And then if you want to find me on another platform, you can follow the breadcrumbs on each platform to the other platforms. But I'm pretty much everywhere you can think of, except for Patreon. I'm not on Patreon. I am my account is still up, but I am locked out and in effect, or not officially, but basically officially banned on Patreon. So yeah, so don't go there.
Well, fair enough. Well, I just want to say it was a pleasure having you, Anna. You were very nice. We should definitely, do another show in the future. That would be good. Yeah,
just let me know
if you're up for it. Well, but it's good. We should definitely do one in the future. Apart from that, I just want to say to everybody, please go and follow Anna's work. She's a very talented cosplayer. She does outstanding artwork, probably one of the best artists on the internet and one of the best cosplayers in, the whole internet. She's very talented. You'll really enjoy a lot of the stuff she does, especially her calendar. Her calendar is really top-notch work. And yeah, everybody, please give Anna all the respect she deserves and all the support she needs. And yeah, give her, like and subscribe and follow. And I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining the Welsh Republic podcast, episode 132 today. Take care, everybody. God bless you all. And may the force be with you. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.